On May 20th, 2025, after spending nearly 23 years on death row, Benjamin Donnie Ritchie was executed by lethal injection in Indiana. In this video, we'll uncover what happened, his last meal, and his last music words. But to understand what got him on death row in the first place, we need to go back to where it all started. It was September 29th, 2000 in Beech, Indiana. That night, there was a report of a white van stolen from a gas station down the street. And soon enough, near the site of another traffic accident, Officer Matthew Hickey saw the van cruising by with 3 men on board. He ran the numbers and made sure it was the stolen van and radioed it in. The pursuit had begun. 2 other officers were called in to join the chase, Robert Mercury and William Bill Toney, but the van didn't get far. After a brief pursuit, it sped off the road and into the backyard of a peaceful neighborhood residence. The doors burst open and 2 of the men sprinted off. Officer Hickey was able to catch one of them, Michael Greer, in a quick grab. But Benjamin Ritchie, a 20-year-old, ran fast. Officer Bill Toney pursued him, following him through backyards, over fences, past sheds, avoiding swing sets. Then Benjamin reached for something. He spun around, drew a 9mm Glock, and shot 5 times. Bill had his vest on, but 1 bullet grazed above it, hitting him in the upper chest. He was able to shoot back once, but then his legs failed him. He fell to the grass, his service weapon falling from his grasp. Officer William Bill Toney passed away there in that yard the day before his 32nd birthday. He had a wife and 2 young children and had only been on the force for 2 years. No one knew why, but Benjamin Ritchie was wearing a wig the night he died. Perhaps it was a plot, perhaps paranoia. Either way, following the shooting, he discarded the wig and gun in a clump of dense underbrush and vanished into the darkness. In some manner, he managed to slip around the perimeter and reach a friend's residence, still loose, at least temporarily. More than 100 officers, SWAT units, deputies, and investigators conducted a manhunt that spanned the night. Roads were closed, streets cordoned off. The search for Benjamin Ritchie was desperate, and nobody was leaving until he was caught. Hours went by, then the break. Someone placed a call, an anonymous caller that took them directly to a residence. And when officers went there in the morning, Benjamin was present. This time he didn't flee, he didn't fight back, and they took him into custody without struggle. The house was owned by Michael Moody, the 3rd guy from the hijacked van, and they arrested him as well. The manhunt was finished, but the real battle in the courtroom was just about to unfold. There it was revealed who Benjamin Ritchie actually was. Born on May 30th, 1980, Benjamin entered this world already having a deck stacked against him. He never even knew who his biological father was, and his mother, Marion Martin, battled alcohol and drugs, even while pregnant with him. She was a stripper, traveling from town to town, unreliable and unstable. And by the age of 3, she had abandoned Benjamin twice. By the time he entered school, the damage was already evident. He misbehaved, fell behind, and by 9th grade had dropped out altogether. Then at 10, he ended up in a psychiatric hospital where doctors diagnosed him with bipolar disorder and other intellectual issues they attributed to the turmoil in his early childhood. He had need of assistance, but the system didn't have much to offer. In August of 1998, shortly after his 18th birthday, Benjamin was arrested for breaking and entering and was sent to prison. By 2000, he was back on the streets, but not free. He was still on probation, still drifting, and his life was far from stable. His troubled life was not behind him. It was waiting for another chance to catch up. And on September 29th, 2000, that's what did occur. Following his arrest for the shooting of Officer Bill Toney, prosecutors moved swiftly, and in a matter of weeks, Marion County revealed they'd be pursuing the death penalty. But this wasn't going to be a silence case. Benjamin had already made a statement from jail, claiming the shooting had been an accident. He said the gun fell out of his hand and that he could hear it going off a number of times on its own while he was fleeing. One of his friends testified in his defense. He added that Benjamin never intended to pull the trigger, that everything happened too quickly. In his telling, Benjamin panicked while he was being pursued. He was already on probation, and another arrest would have landed him in jail for 8 more years. That fear, he explained, drove Benjamin into a rage, but the destruction had been done, and regardless of whether or not anyone was going to believe his account, a police officer was dead. On August 10th, the jury returned with their verdict, guilty on all counts: murder, carjacking, illegal firearm possession, and resisting arrest. And in court, it got hot. Officer William Toney's widow, Dee, went through it all. And afterwards, she made the press exactly clear what she desired, that Benjamin be put to death. Nothing less, she asserted, would be just. But Benjamin was not respectful to her. Throughout the proceedings, he cut her short, laughed in court, and when she accused him of being a coward, He glared at her and called her the B word. He showed no remorse, not once. At sentencing, Ritchie's attorneys attempted to rescue him. They claimed he'd been damaged brain-wise, that his mother used drugs while pregnant with him, and that he didn't stand a chance growing up in an environment of chaos. They had described a shattered boy who became a shattered man. But the jury didn't think so. They didn't think they saw a victim. They saw a murderer. The prosecutor instructed the jury that tragedy doesn't justify murder, that many people live in chaos and do not become murderers, and that in this instance, a man had shot a police officer in cold blood. Then there was the clincher detail. Tattooed on Benjamin's neck was a number, 37, and it was not accidental. That was Officer Toney's unit number, a prized trophy tattooed across his skin, a badge of honor he planned to boast of for the remainder of his life behind bars. But he would not have the opportunity. On the 14th of August, the jury returned with a verdict. The decision came in just 3 hours of deliberation, unanimously. Benjamin would be sentenced to death. He was moved to the death row in Indiana. And for most people, the story would end here. But for Benjamin, not quite. At least not yet. Thousands of miles distant in Sweden, a lady named Ivana sat and watched a documentary series concerning prisoners on death row. And there was something about Benjamin that caught her eye. She couldn't say why, just that it lingered with her. So she sent a letter, and her correspondence evolved into dialogue. Soon enough, Ivana traveled across the ocean to see him for herself. And there, behind prison glass, they fell in love somehow. For almost 4 years, Ivana kept coming back again and again. And Indiana's Department of Correction let her, even for a condemned man. And if you're curious, yes, Indiana's death row is a bit unusual. As you can witness here, Benjamin had an actual cat walking around inside his cell. And that's not hyperbole. Death row prisoners in Indiana are permitted to have cats as pets. Why? As part of an initiative to curb isolation and enhance conduct. Anyhow, Benjamin appealed time and time again for years, but no one cared to listen to him. Then came the day, May 20th, 2025, almost 23 years after Benjamin initially walked into death row. During his last weeks, Benjamin requested mercy. He applied for clemency, informing the parole board he was sorry, that he was not the same person who had pulled the trigger in 2000, that he still had something to give, something positive. No chances remained. At 44 years of age, Benjamin Donnie Ritchie was put to death by lethal injection in Indiana. For his final meal, Benjamin had the tour of Italy from Olive Garden with chicken parigana, lasagna, and fettuccine alfredo on a plate. Early this morning, just after midnight, the execution procedure started. His last words were short: "I love my family, my friends, and all the support I've received. I hope they all find peace." At 12:46 a.m., Benjamin died.